Hey guys, miicrow here. Yesterday we had a really long and productive stream where we discussed a lot of new and upcoming features that will be available in Season 10, as well as talked about what will be BIS for specific builds. I don't want to rehash everything we talked about there, but I wanted to at least talk about my top 5 hot takes for the next patch in terms of what is going to change. So my first hot take is set bonuses, I think, are just straight up better than having extra perk slots through mutations. My reason for thinking that is the infixes are just far too powerful. It just makes sense to passively go for these effects, and I wouldn't waste too much time going for the mutations. There's a few key ones that are good examples of this. If we go past the set bonus section, you can get access to some really powerful standalone infixes as well. But things like Critical Storm are just free damage for a lot of people. Close Quarters just looks insane and will make Blunderbuss likely a somewhat viable meta weapon. Thwarting Stun will elevate people that are able to do consistent heavy attacks up into a new light. I expect this to be heavily used within the PvP space, as well as kind of cheesy little effects. We've got set bonuses that will likely be meta across the board in terms of tenacity set, which just seems really powerful to have tons of grit. And then there's other little cheeky tricks, like if you go for the enrage set, use the one of so you aren't constantly going to be sitting at low HP and pick up enraged hunt. You're going to be able to consistently dodge to trigger a 3.5 meter AoE pull, which is likely going to be better than what Great Axe can do, and that's going to have a ton of ramifications on the meta itself. My next big take is Void Gauntlet got a massive buff. It's like the recent trend in Season 9 and even a little bit before that was to nerf Void Gauntlet. AGS did successfully nerf aspects of Void Gauntlet, but they still did not nerf uh, probably enough of what is needed. The big change that came out from Void Gauntlet that I think elevates it to be an entirely new tier is it has access to an improved Nullifying Oblivion perk that will extend the duration of limited time debuffs by 15 to 30%. So one easy combo with this is you go for a root on a target, you pop Nullifying Oblivion, and then you extend the duration of the root. That inherently will elevate Void Gauntlet to kind of be in a new light and likely will make it very good. The other thing that I think makes Void Gauntlet very strong, especially in the Void Blade meta that we're currently is Void Gauntlet now has access to considerable amounts of armor pen. A pen penetrating backstab is now available to run on armor. And if you stack this, which I assume you could stack this up to 5 times because that's what we've seen from screenshots from other perks that are in this section, you can get up to 40% armor pen on a Void Blade, which is considerable and will make it so that Void Blade can kind of go to town versus certain foes. I do think the meta for Void Gauntlet will change a bit. It seems like with the nerfs to Invig and Vigor, the Jin meta will likely kind of fade out of favor, and I think people will start moving towards the artifact unmoved. It seems like there are so many aspects of the game now that people will get pulled around by between the new bow, between the enraged hunt bonus, and just in general, there's going to be a lot of movement based effects, and unmoved counters the vast majority of those. With the nerfs that have come to a variety of artifacts, this just seems like a very solid option to just have in your build no matter what, and will make it so that you can actually play the game from a PvP perspective. My next take is I think that there will be less than 13 bruiser slots in a war roster in Season 10. There has been 13 bruiser slots since I think at least since New World like first came out, if not more than 13, and it's never ever been below that from my understanding or not in serious wars. I think there's a serious chance that people start dropping bruiser slots, and that is mostly due to Enraged Hunt. Enraged Hunt is an effect that is you can get as a one of on the Enraged set, where if you exit a dodge with more than 20 stamina and you're enraged, so you have some stacks, you will consume 4 stacks to trigger a 3.5 meter AoE pull that will just suck in nearby enemies. So you have the ability to kind of chain CC people, which is very similar to what Great Axe Warhammer can do. You don't have access to the consistent pressure that Great Axe Warhammer has. I think it's the main thing Great Axe Warhammer has going for it. But there's certain classes that combo with this incredibly well. So Void Gauntlet, for example, with Ice Gauntlet, so IGVG. If you're going the Void Blade route and you dodge, pull people in, you root them, you drop a shower around them, you cast Nullifying Oblivion, like you're just gonna lock people in space. Like that class inherently was already very good at locking people in space, and this kind of just elevates it to a new light. I would expect to see more along the lines of people specializing in more tankiness on point, and they're probably being a little bit more on the squishy side of DPS off the point, with some new rising slash old builds coming back in terms of Blunderbuss becoming popular again. I'd expect to see Musket start to be seen a little bit more with how squishy you can make it and how much damage it can output just being massively increased through the change to allow offensive perk slots on gear. And just overall, just have a meta shakeup from the war scene. The noteworthy thing with Bruiser is it's not completely shit dead. Refreshing Charge might be one of the best perks in the game, or at least is one of the best reworks, where now Bruisers will be able to charge through allies and enemies. So you're no longer going to have to deal with body blocking. Body blocking likely is more or less a thing of the past and is not nearly as important before. And people have to look for alternative value versus these classes, like trying to chain roots, trying to chain pulls. So if Bruisers don't have access to uninterruptible, they still can't get out. But staggers will not work while people have charge because charge also gives grit. So you have to figure out a way to lock bruisers in place, and that's relatively difficult, which I think will still allow bruiser to be used. I just would not be surprised if people start attacking the amount of bruiser slots within a war just because other classes have access to the bruiser utility and might be able to do more while not having to sacrifice as much to get that bruiser-like utility, if that makes sense. My next take is Healing Heart and Refreshment are probably the two best perks of the patch. Healing Heart will give you up to 27% of your max HP if you run Prolonged Favor, which is probably a close, I would say, third for my favorite perk that's coming out this patch. You can extend this so that you would get an additional health tick, so you can get up to almost 40% of your max HP. And just overall, that's very consistent healing. This is like the main reason why Healing Stoneform has been meta for so long, and this will likely shift the meta away from Healing Stoneform, and people will start to run more creative heart runes. Expect to see the new heart rune, which could be acquired from the faction shop, apparently a lot more. So make sure that you have your faction tokens ready. Make sure that you're near max level so you can take advantage of the new blade related heart rune. The other take I have is I think the PvE meta is going to change as well. Finisher has been the meta for a very long time within PvE, but Finisher has been updated to only trigger off of bleeds applied by the wielder. The common take that I'm seeing a lot of PvP or PvE discords, maybe this isn't a super hot take, is a lot of people are going to start replacing Finisher with the artifact that is not really on this list for the ones that everyone's looking at. No one's really paying attention to this as much. Oh no, people are. It's just like kind of down a bit. Inferno might be the best PvE artifact in the game next patch. The main thing here is you probably aren't using this for damage. No one really likes to use Fire Staff for damage in PvE except for like maybe on Genesis. But the main thing is your offhand will have an increased damage of 15% while you have this like just equipped. So you just use a main hand that does a lot of damage, use Inferno as your offhand, and then you just do whatever you want to do in PvE. There might be a different meta for smaller scale stuff, like for the Catacombs. People might go for alternative offhands that have access to more utility, but in general for the raid, this just seems like a very good option to increase DPS. So if you don't have Inferno, I would try to get it. I don't know if it's that mutation week or not. Someone could put that in the comments just to see when new players can get access to this. But this seems like a very good artifact right now. The other artifact that's really good that also drops from the same spot that Inferno does is the new artifact Rapier that takes advantage of flame-based effects. I don't see it on this list. Let me pull it up in the notes. It's Dorgot's Blade. This one seems like it's kind of the new finisher. It has the ability to consume burns and just do the damage all at once. So this is like a finisher-like effect. The cool part about this is you can use this as an offhand as well. Just use your main hand, do a heavy attack, and you start putting the burns on somebody. I think this is just like kind of an underrated artifact, and generally speaking, damage over time effects are king in PvE because they're just access to consistent damage that you can extend through to infinity through some cool tricks. But this just seems like it's gonna be very, very strong, can do consistent burns. So this is like up to, what, 30% burning, so you're doing 30% more damage if you could extend this off into infinity. So expect to see this on classes that can take advantage of like heavy attacks, like maybe SNS with a light round shield. This could be a good pickup, and just be something that's used a bit more than it is currently. But both these artifacts drop from the same slot.
You need to get them from the mutation for the fire-related dungeon, so at least in M1. Might be easier to do that now than it will be to do it later, but nevertheless, something to look to pick up if you're trying to optimize a PvE loadout. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you thought of the patch notes. I know we went through for a while. It took us like 5 hours. I know it took Schmeck 7 to go through everything. So we did it a little bit faster, which I'm impressed with myself for because I'm usually not the faster one. But there is a lot to theorycraft from here, and just overall a massive amount of changes coming. Some good, some bad, but nonetheless, the meta will likely be different. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later.